Maybe you were falling in love with music or just falling in love. Perhaps you were sitting exams and getting serious, or out mucking around with your pals in the playground. Perhaps like me, you were just being born. Or maybe you weren't even born at all. Whatever you got up to in the 1970s, it's passed from rose-tinted memories into our shared national history. In many ways, 70s Britain feels like a very strange and distant place. But it's time to look again at the years of Ted Heath, Mark Bolan and Mary Whitehouse, because this was the decade in which 21st century Britain, our Britain, was born. British people were impatient for more freedom, more opportunities and more money. And in the first years of the 1970s, they went out to get it. By the dawn of the 1970s, the affluent society had become a fact of life. Even an ordinary family now had expectations that their forebears could barely have imagined. And at the heart of all their ambitions was something we now take for granted: a home of their own. New towns had decent motorway links, good schools, brand new supermarkets, even the first indoor shopping centres. Yes, they weren't terribly grand or picturesque, but they succeeded because they fulfilled the ambitions of hundreds of thousands of ordinary British families. A steady job, a safe neighbourhood, a neat suburban home, a back garden, even central heating. And for people who'd grown up in damp and dilapidated inner cities, places like Peterborough were the future. For young couples born after the Second World War and now in their 20s and 30s, here was the chance to not only have their own space and do their own thing, but to join the swelling ranks of the property-owning middle classes. For young, left-leaning, hippie-ish professionals, the old slums of inner-city London represented a rare opportunity. Streets like this one in Islington were transformed by middle-class couples, driven by their bohemian ideals and their desire to escape from the shadow of their parents. We often think that Margaret Thatcher created this, but she didn't. It created her. But they were the foundation stone of a new suburban society, marking the transition from an old class-based collective culture to a new domesticated, individualistic one. Like the gentrifiers of Islington, he just moved into a run-down 18th century townhouse, and he was determined to drag it into the 1970s, bringing in his black leather armchairs, his marble tables, his gleaming new stereo, and the love of his life, his Steinway piano. His name was Edward Heath, and his address was number 10 Downing Street. Keen to banish every last taint of his hated rival, Labour's Harold Wilson, Heath ripped out the dark red carpets and put in brand new gold ones. In the cabinet room, out went their battered leather armchairs and the tatty green felt table, and in came a symphony of beiges and browns. Heath's friends told him that it looked stylish and modern, like a cool bachelor pad. Most people thought it looked more like a boudoir. Until the dawn of the 1970s, most British people only crossed the Channel if they were wearing a uniform and carrying a gun. But a foreign holiday was becoming one of those crucial little badges of status and affluence. An adventure abroad was now one of life's pleasures, an ambition to set beside the manicured lawn, the colour TV and the Ford Cortina.